platform. Are you ready? Let's go.
The Church of God Executive Office, Cocoa, Florida, Incorporated, also known as Cocoa Office, has a proud, steep, miraculous history. There are tens of thousands of testimonies of how God provided the parishioners and their families, many of whom were sharecroppers and descendants of slaves, land, resources, and unprecedented opportunities to build classical Pentecostal churches in the Black inner city communities around the state of Florida. Annual state conventions started at local church edifices and grew into hotel ballrooms up to major arenas. Dreams and visions of owning a state campground to host and facilitate church events was a major focus over the years. However, there has been a sharp decline in the Cocoa Office, numerically, financially, and spiritually in the last 25 years, causing a catastrophe of confidence. Independent podcaster Pastor Robert L. Carpenter II, a former third-generation Church of God pastor, and his team of citizen journalists are giving the viewers a multi-part series of investigative reports examining potential reasons for the major decline. Like a mighty army was the Church of God. A hallmark anthem in the infamous Redback hymnal says, "Like a mighty army moves the Church of God." It begs the question, is the Cocoa Office a mighty army of believers moving forward, or a cult-like group of church folks unwittingly, blindly, heading in a downward decline to its demise?
What else do you want? You've gotten big churches. Congratulations. People know our names. We've been blessed. What else do you want? You've gotten the fame. You've gotten the people. You've gotten the numbers. You've gotten the money. What else do you want? What are you going for? At some point, you got to stop and realize that judgment begins at the house of God. And God is going to hold preachers accountable for the stuff they do. People in our churches that are dying and going to hell because we're too scared to tell them that a holy God demands holy people. We've gotten comfortable walking with people that promote everything that the Bible says will send a man or a woman to hell. And we're still trying to walk with them. And we're confusing the people that are seeking after God. It's a dangerous place to be when you figure that God is not enough.
And it does matter who is in these offices, and we need to hold people accountable. We need to make a demand, and there needs to be a consequence for that demand. I know in my mama's house, when my mama said do something, hey, my mama, you got to do what mama saying. There will be a consequence if you don't. You got to do what daddy says, or there will be a consequence. We need to bind together and say, you are going to do for us, or there will be a consequence. We got to follow the policy. Show me the policy, and I'll tell you what you care about. Follow the money, and I'll show you.
All right, there we go. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Pastor Robert L. Carpenter II, and we're coming to you with part 2 of our special report on the Church of God Florida Cocoa Office, a catastrophe of confidence. A catastrophe of confidence, the current state of the Church of God Florida Cocoa Office, an RCTV network investigative report. This part will be part 2, crimes committed. And again, if you haven't already, if you want to be a part and get the updates for these exclusive updates and these exclusive videos, you can text COC for Catastrophe of Confidence, COC, to 813-285-4974. You'll be the first to know when these videos are uploaded. What we're doing tonight here on April 15th, 2024, we're streaming live on the Church of God Equity Facebook page, and then also on the our Rumble page, RCTV Network, and also on X, formerly known as Twitter, as well. However, as soon as this live stream goes down, it's completed, it will be deleted off of those live sites, and it will be available exclusively here at patreon.com, the RCTV Network, patreon.com/the RCTV Network. That way, that is behind the paywall. A paywall is just a small amount per month, but you'll be able to get not only the video, but also you'll be able to get the actual source documents that we'll be showing you in this video tonight and also consecutive videos. We're not going to spend a lot of time. We're already about 9 minutes and 45 seconds in. We're going to spend about 15 minutes or so, and we're going to break these up because we don't want to give you too much information at one time. Sometimes things get lost in translation. But our subject tonight, our title tonight is Crimes Committed. You say, well, what's going on? We see there the bishop there, Bishop Anthony T. Pelt Sr., has been the administrative bishop or the state overseer. You usually hear those terms being used interchangeably for the Church of God, Cleveland, Tennessee, Florida Cocoa jurisdiction since 2014, since about July 2014. And there's a lot of things that have been happening that are unprecedented. And as you heard in our introductory report there, the black wing, if you will, or the black part of the Church of God, Cleveland, Tennessee, has been around now for almost 100 years. Matter of fact, they'll be celebrating their 100th state convention in June of 2024. However, there's a lot that's going on, and there's definitely been a decline where, let's just say, when I went to Lee University, this church school, in 1990, and when I came home for a state convention in 1991, we were in the Ocean Center, which is an arena in Daytona Beach, Florida. And we didn't pack it out, but we had close to 10,000 people, about 9 or 10,000 people, close to 10,000 people in that service by that Sunday morning of our state convention. However, now the state has declined so much that now they're having the state conventions in hotel ballrooms and can barely pack those out. What's going on? When we had nearly 200 churches just 30 years ago, 25 years ago, now we're down to about 75 or 80 or less. What happened to where there's no tithing monthly, quarterly, or even annual tithing report of the churches that used to be in the Church of God Evangel, which was sent out to all the churches, even before we had technology, showing each church in their reports each month throughout the year how much they tithe, how much the total tithes were, because then you were able to see how much their tithe of tithes that they sent to the state and national office were, how much that was. That's been done away with. And even now, even as they're going into the 100th year, at least in the last 10 years, if not the last 50 years, and I've been alive almost 53 years now, there's never been a substantial written financial report given to the pastors, the ministers, and even the laity and the supporters of said church. Now, for those of you who know that anytime you have a non-for-profit organization, 501c3 with the IRS, that it is the customary, and it is the regulations that they are to make their financial records available to their donors. Now, some people used to say that you had to give at least $25 or $250 before you could receive them. And actually, from my research, that the nonprofit organization, because it is tax exempt, that guess what? You don't have to be someone who gives or part of it at all. If you ask to see the books, because you're different from a Fortune 500 corporation, for-profit corporation, and business, you are to make those financial records available. Now, here's the thing about it. Oh, let me get my dog here. But both dogs are sitting here resting. Listen, here's the thing about it. What you must realize, my brothers and sisters, that I am a third generation former Church of God minister, pastor. My grandfather pastored the Jupiter Church of God, Reverend Melvin McKinney. He's going on to be with the Lord before I was even thought of. However, but even since I've been a part of the church, as a minister, as a child, as a musician, as one of the leading musicians and ministers of music in the state conventions and everything, organist, and even a teen talent winner, to my knowledge, there has never been a financial report given to the ministers and the pastors and the laity of the state. The closest thing they got to it was when they used to put out the Church of God Evangel magazine, and they would put that out once or twice a year before like the state convention, and they would list like all the churches, and it would show the churches each month they reported in tithes. And so and if the churches didn't have a report, they say in off or no report. That's as close as you got, but it still was never a financial report. Well, Mr. Pelt has now stopped doing that. There's no evangel. There's no tithe report sent out for 10 years. So nobody knows if a pastor is really reporting, if he's caught up in his reporting or not. And the funny thing is, here's the thing. They were doing that, giving that report out before technology. Now, all you got to do is log into your computer and send your report in. Before, you had to fill out a tricarbonate thing and put it in, and mail it. You had to mail it. It had to be postmarked by a certain date. None of that is going on. So the easier it's become, the less accountability has happened. Now, that's a problem because there's been a lot of movement, if you will, of properties being sold and liquidated and corporations being switched and changed and all this stuff. Kind of like a one-man show or maybe a two-man show in some regards. And no one seems to know about it. There's no accountability. So let's take a look. Let's take a look here. But again, let's go back. There's not been, to my knowledge, a financial report ever given to those pastors, ministers, parishioners, and donors there in this Florida Church of God Cocoa office. That right there signals something is wrong. Because if I have nothing to hide, if there's nothing nefarious going on, I should be able to make that report available to whomever asks. Now, let's be quite honest. I've been a pastor. Most folk don't ask. Most folk, as long as they see the work of the Lord being done, things moving forward, the whole 9 yards, they don't ask. But when you start seeing properties being sold and things being happening and questions are asked and they're not being answered and there's all this ambiguity, then that's when folks start to say, hey, wait a second, something is wrong. So, my brothers and sisters, let's take a look here. The first thing we're going to see is, let's go back and show you here. I want to show you that, let's look at this right here. The Articles of Incorporation. Now, I want to show you this because the Articles of Incorporation for the Church of God, Florida Cocoa office, as it's known, was changed. Many of you may or may not know that. All right, let's take a look here. Let's blow this up. And if you need to, you can go back and you better watch this on your tablet or maybe your TV and blow it up or zoom in. But I've got this as large as I can get it, I think. But let's just take a look here. Okay, we can go do it more. There it says Church of God Executive Office, Cocoa, Florida, Incorporated. That's a new name. Okay, look at this new name was filed November 30th, 2018. And this was effective January 1st, 2019. So there was a name change. How many of you all knew there was a name change? Probably not many of you at all. Now let's go a little further. Okay, there was another event that happened August 4th, 2023. You see that highlighted? Where the address for the state office, not only was the name changed, but the address was changed. Now notice here, the principal address for the state office was changed from Cocoa, Florida, to where the campground is in Leesburg, 33926 County Road 473, Leesburg, Florida 34789. That was done August 4th. These dogs always wait till I get busy to try to start playing. Now listen, so wait a second. The state office was still located at 4015 North US Highway 1 in Cocoa, Florida. But the principal address was changed to Leesburg August 4th, 2023. Let's go a little further. The mailing address remains the same. Okay. Interesting. But then it says the registered agent and address, Anthony T. Pelt, and he puts the Leesburg address on there. That was changed. Again, it was changed. Let's see. Let's go back. Let's zoom out here so we can see this. Look at this. The address was changed again on February 1st, 2024. Now, notice here, dear hearts, notice here that the president of the 501c3 nonprofit organization, the Church of God Executive Office - Cocoa, Florida Incorporated, which is a new name, is Anthony T. Pelt, and he puts the P.O. box of the state office in Cocoa. Now, mind you, just for a point of reference, the state office P.O. box is 92 miles from the actual physical office in Leesburg. So I don't know who's going every day traveling 180 miles round trip to check the mail, but I digress. Now, notice here, dear hearts, that there are no other officers listed. There are no other officers listed. It's just Anthony Pelt. Now, remember, this is a look at the top there, Florida non-for-profit corporation. See that? Okay, let's go a little further. Here it is right here. Here it is. I'm going to zoom in on this. Notice, under statute 817.155, Florida statute, a person may not knowingly falsify or conceal a material fact, make a false, fictitious, or fraudulent statement or representation, or make or use any false document. Here's the highlighted part here. Here's the home run right here. Here it is. Here's the humdinger. Anyone violating these conditions is guilty of a third-degree felony and punishable by law. You see that? Now, let's go back. We see again that Anthony T. Pelt is the only officer listed for a nonprofit organization. Let's go back and see what the qualifications for a nonprofit organization are. Look what it says there at the top. The officer director to the left of your screen. The names and the street addresses of the officers with an S and our directors are optional. If the individuals are listed, list his last name, first name, middle initial. If listing directors, list at least 3. Let me zoom in on that. List at least 3. See that right there? Highlight. List at least 3 directors. Wait, let's go back over here now. How many directors do you see there? Let's go back. 1. So for a nonprofit organization, there's supposed to be at least 3 directors and 3 officers. Since at least August 4th, 2023, there's only 1, and that's Anthony Pelt, the bishop. Ladies and gentlemen, that's incorrect. That, according to the Florida statute, is a third-degree felony. Punishable by law. Now, why, pray tell me, would Brother Pelt make himself the sole person on a non-for-profit corporation that has a state council of 12 that he's supposed to be accountable to, and also the pastors and ministers and churches of the state and the parishioners of those said churches? Why would he make himself the only person on that document? I don't know. But here's the thing about it. There's a pattern because we can also go back. Let's go a little further. Let's go a little further here. I want to show you something because there was a brother who, one of the trustees, now who shall remain nameless. Well, let me show you this. Let me show you this. This is, let's look at Florida Tampa office, our sister jurisdiction. Let's look at this for a second. Same thing, Florida Non-for-Profit Corporation, Church of God, Florida State Offices, Inc. Okay? Last date they filed something was June 24, 2003, excuse me. Last thing they updated was the September 7th, 2012. They have the principal address, was right here in Tampa, pass it all the time, 3736 Cragmont Drive, Tampa, Florida. Their mailing address is the same as the office. Their registered agent is Randall Morris, okay? His name was changed in there November 1st, 2023, and updated November 1st, 2023. Look at the officers. Look at it. Number one, the president, which is the administrative bishop, the state overseer, Timothy E. Brown. All right, that sounds about right. Then if you go over here, because it cuts it off, the screenshot cuts it off, then you see that the vice president is Caleb Crooms. Okay? Then we see the treasurer is Thomas L. Odom, or L. Thomas Odom. And then we also have another director, Tony Stone. Notice, and they have about 300 or 400 churches in their jurisdiction here in Florida. Notice there how everything is laid out. The overseer, the treasurer, the secretary, so on and so forth. All right? But when you come over to us, Anthony, one person. Interesting. Now, what startles me, dear hearts, is that when you look at this, you find that how should I say this? You find that there's a cult-like. I'm not going to say it's a cult. I'm not going to go that far yet. But there's a cult-like atmosphere that the church is governed by, because there are a lot of pastors in the state and ministers in the state that do come to me, who do come to Dr. Ellis privately, and we will never disclose that information because we will keep that confidence because of their concerns. But a lot of times, because they're under appointment by Anthony Pelt, they're afraid to say something because, hey, will he take my church? Will he punish me by moving me somewhere or whatever, what have you. Now notice here. I want to show you something here. Once I emailed, I called. Let me say, I called Dr. Ellis, Samuel G. Ellis, called one of the state trustees, who shall remain nameless. Okay? And he spoke to his wife quickly. She answered the phone, and then she gave him the phone, and he was very quickly, well, I'm out to lunch with my wife. Can I call you back? Sure, no problem, Doc. And so he didn't end up calling back. About an hour later, he ended up texting me. And this is what the brother said. And I want you to see this. Brother, glad to hear from you and Sam, talking about Bishop Ellis. If the conversation has to do with the state office, I don't want to talk about it. My loyalty is with the church and the bishop. Did you hear me what I said? Huh? Did you hear me what I said? He said his loyalty is with the what's that? The church and the bishop. Not with what's right, not with what's fair, not as what, and this is a trustee and a state council member. So I said it's always good to check in with hometown folks. Your loyalty needs to be with the Lord and what's right and honorable in his sight. Loyalty to man can get you in trouble. Love you, brother, and I mean that. Be careful. I don't want you to go down with the Titanic. Remember this one other preacher that went to prison for federal prison for 4.5 years. God bless. Now, ladies and gentlemen, understand the trustee, his role is to the property and the ministers and the pastors in the state, not to the overseer, not to the bishop. He said his loyalty is to the church and the bishop. Let's go back there, Hart. Let's go back. I'm just going to give you this again. Thank you so much for being a part of this. This is all at patreon.com/the RCTV network behind the paywall. Thank you all for supporting what we're doing. Those of you watching this on YouTube, on Rumble and X, this will be coming down just as soon as we finish. And those of you on the COG Equity page on Facebook, but you can get it there at patreon.com/the RCTV network for a nominal fee. Don't forget, you can text COC to 813-285-4974 to get updates. And also, every time a new part is uploaded to Patreon, you'll be able to see that behind the paywall. It's just once a month. It's not anything every time we put a video, just once a month. But here's the thing about it. Let's go back. I just want to, and I'm going to be done for the night. Crimes committed, you be the judge. Here it is. One officer, Anthony T. Pell, for a non-profit organization where it clearly says that you must have three. Look at it. Let's do it again. If list of directors, list at least 3 directors. And when you don't do that, dear hearts, what does it say? It says that anyone violating these conditions is guilty of a 3rd-degree felony and punishable by law. You be the judge. Now, what we're going to cover in our next segment, we're going to cover and deal with the sale of the property, the state parsonage, which was sold back in April 4, 2014 for $215,000, if I'm not mistaken. I may have to figure out, but $200,000. Where's that money? We're going to talk about the state office, which has been sold on January 31st for $405,000, if I'm not mistaken. Within this, we'll have all that. And you better source those documents right there behind the paywall. And then also, but there was also a $250,000 mortgage taken out on the state office by the same people on the same day. Interesting. Now, the campground, there was an LLC that was put on the campground a couple years ago. What happened with that? Even though the campground is a nonprofit organization and they moved the state office to the campground since August 4th, 2023. And finally, dear hearts, they've been paying on a 30-year mortgage on the campground for 33 years. Do the math. Yeah. And they're still asking everybody to bring $1,000 and all this stuff to try to raise money for the campground. Well, looks like if you got $200,000 from the parsonage 10 years ago, and you got $405,000 for the campground, for the state office, that's $600,000 right there. That should go towards that principal that you've been paying on for 33 years. Plus the mysterious $250,000 mortgage that we tried to figure out what's going on with that on the state office. Interesting. And one thing, so we're going to deal with that in our next segment. But one more thing before I go, I want to show you this, just so you know that we're not embellishing. Let's pull this up here, share this tab instead. Yes, here we go. And let's add this to the stage. Now here, when you put in the state office address on Google, look what it says there. Church of God. Okay, so Church of God. Church of God Executive Offices. Notice what it says there. Permanently closed. It's no longer there. Gone, as in going. That's owned by the Wynn Plaza LLC, a Korean company. But they also, again, took out a $250,000 mortgage on the property that the state is holding. Crimes committed, you be the judge. I can't say. All I can do is put the questions out there. And as Fox News says, we report. You decide. Ladies and gentlemen, you'd like to be a blessing? Then you see our information down there at the bottom of the screen, at the top of the screen. You can send a love gift at the RCTV Network, on Venmo and PayPal. Also, if you have cryptocurrency, you can send it at Rob Carpenter II. And also, if you have Cash App, you can send it $the RCTV Networks with an S. And if you're already behind and supporting us at Patreon.com, that's wonderful as well. That's not a problem, but we appreciate your support. We'll be coming with part 3, crimes committed. Part 3 will be Show Me the Money. This is Pastor Robert L. Carpenter II. Saying I'll see you next time as we continue to investigate a catastrophe of confidence right here on the RCTV Network. Good night, everybody.